Rain splashed against the cracked pavement, drumming a soft, lonely rhythm at the bus stop. A young woman sat hunched on the bench, clutching a faded backpack to her chest. Her denim jacket was soaked through, her hair clinging in damp strands around her face. Her eyes were fixed on the ground, not really seeing it, lost somewhere in the fog of exhaustion and hunger. She didn't notice the small figure in a bright pink raincoat until a pair of tiny boots stopped right in front of her. "You need a home," the little voice said with the conviction of a truth that couldn't be argued with, "and I need a mommy." Emily, though she hadn't told her name yet, looked up, startled. Standing there was a girl of about 7, with big hazel eyes that reflected the streetlight. She blinked in surprise, wondering if she'd heard her right. "Sweetheart, where's your mom?" she asked, her voice quiet. The girl shrugged. "I don't have one. I live with my grandma, but she says she's too old to play or braid my hair." "And you?" The girl's eyes studied Emily with a seriousness that didn't belong to someone so small. "You look like you need someone to take care of you." Emily gave a weak laugh, one that sounded more like a sigh. "I think it's the other way around." "Nope," the girl said with certainty. "I'm very smart for my age. And you look like someone who gives good hugs." She extended a small, mitten-covered hand. "What's your name?" After a pause, Emily reached out and took it. "Emily." The girl smiled wide. "I'm Lily. You can sit with me on the bus. Grandma says strangers can be bad, but you don't feel bad. You feel like someone who's sad but nice." The hiss of brakes announced the arrival of the bus. Lily hopped aboard, patting the seat next to her until Emily sat down. Inside, the bus was almost empty except for an older man reading a newspaper and a woman holding a sleeping baby. Lily swung her legs as the bus rumbled to life. "Where are you going?" Lily asked, her tone as casual as if they'd known each other forever. Emily looked out at the blurred city lights through the rain. "Nowhere really. I just ride until I'm tired, then find somewhere dry." "That's silly," Lily declared. "You should come home with me." Emily shook her head. "It's not that simple." "Yes, it is," Lily insisted. "Our house has an extra room. And a cat named Mr. Whiskers. You could sleep in the extra room. Or with me. I don't like sleeping alone." She whispered the last part, as though it were a secret. Emily's chest tightened. She opened her mouth to explain that she couldn't just walk into someone's life like that, but Lily's eyes, so open and unguarded, made her hesitate. The conversation drifted to safer things. Lily's school, her favorite cartoons, the way her cookies always burned no matter how carefully she followed the recipe. Emily found herself smiling without trying to, even laughing once or twice. She realized she hadn't done either in weeks. When the bus reached a quiet street lined with small houses, Lily hopped up. "This is us. Come on." She tugged Emily's hand before she could object. The house was modest but warm, with curtains that looked handmade and a faint scent of cinnamon in the air. A white cat padded up to investigate Emily, brushing against her leg. An elderly woman appeared in the doorway, her eyebrows lifting at the sight of a stranger standing beside her granddaughter. "Lily, who is this?" she asked, her tone firm but not unkind. "This is Emily," Lily said proudly. "She needs a home. I told her she could be my mommy." Emily flushed. "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to." The woman held up a hand. "Why don't you sit down, dear? You look like you could use something warm." Moments later she returned with a steaming mug. "Chamomile tea. It settles the heart." Emily wrapped her fingers around the cup, letting the warmth seep into her skin. She explained, hesitantly, that she'd been without a place to stay for months. After losing her job, the rent had gone up, and she'd had no family left to call. She'd been trying to keep herself afloat, but the streets were harder than she ever imagined. The grandmother listened quietly, her face unreadable. When Emily finished, the older woman sighed. "Well, you can stay here for the night. We'll talk in the morning." "Lily, show Emily the spare room." That night, Emily lay in the small but clean bed, staring at the ceiling. Down the hall, she heard Lily's giggle, the creak of the old floorboards, and the soft purr of the cat. Something unfamiliar spread through her chest, a fragile warmth she didn't dare name. The days turned into a week. Emily helped around the house, cooking meals, sweeping the porch, and fixing a leaky faucet in the kitchen. Lily followed her everywhere, talking endlessly about school projects and dreams of becoming a rescuer of animals and maybe people too. The grandmother, though cautious at first, began to relax, especially after Emily accompanied her to the grocery store and carried the heavy bags without being asked. One rainy afternoon, Lily burst into the kitchen holding a drawing. It was a crayon picture of 3 people, a little girl, a young woman, and an older woman, standing under a rainbow. Above it, in big wobbly letters, it read, "My family." Emily's throat tightened. "This is beautiful, Lily." "It's us," Lily said simply. "You, me, and Grandma. I told you, you're my mommy now." Emily didn't know how to respond. She wanted to explain that she wasn't really her mother, that things weren't so simple, but the words stuck. She realized she didn't want to leave. For the first time in a long time, she felt wanted, not as a burden, but as someone who belonged. One evening, after Lily had gone to bed, the grandmother sat with Emily at the kitchen table. "You've been good for her," she said quietly. "She hasn't smiled this much in a long time." Emily looked down at her hands. "She's been good for me too." The older woman nodded. "I don't know what your plans are, but you're welcome to stay here. Not as charity, but as family." Tears pricked Emily's eyes. "I don't know how to thank you." "Thank us by staying," the grandmother said. "By giving that little girl the kind of love she's been missing." Emily swallowed hard, nodding. The next morning, Lily bounded into the kitchen, hair a mess, still in her pajamas. "Are you still here?" she asked, as though afraid Emily might have disappeared overnight. "I'm still here," Emily said, pulling her into a hug. "And I'm not going anywhere." Lily grinned. "Good. Then you can help me build my pillow fort later. Moms are good at forts." Emily laughed, the sound rich and free. In that moment, she realized the little girl at the bus stop hadn't just offered her shelter. She had given her something far greater: family, purpose, and a reason to believe again. Sometimes, love doesn't come in the way you expect. Sometimes it shows up in the rain, wearing a pink raincoat, holding out a small hand, and saying the words that change everything: "You need a home, and I need a mommy."